Welcome to another round in a long standing tradition of absolute Friday night disasters. I'm your good buddy, your good pal, Amigo Aaron. Tonight, I think I've got something interesting for both arcade enthusiasts and the Amiga crowd. We are going to look at the arcade offerings of the brilliant man known as JOTD or JOTD 666, if that's your cup of tea. This is a fellow who has been spent the last several years porting arcade games over to the Amiga, through various methods, and I thought it'd be fun to go through these and try them out. We're gonna try out all of them, as far as I know. We're gonna try out the whole collection of the games that he has transferred over. And then, just for fun, on some of these, we will compare and contrast them with the actual arcade game and see if any of the eagle-eyed amongst you can spot any differences in these, because some of these are transcodes and some of these are straight up other, And so I thought we would just go down through the list alphabetically and give these a whirl. Now, how are we going to do that? Well, we're going to use two different items tonight. It's funny, I was just, a Drone Doctor just mentioned in the chat, was asking about Batocera, the emulation package I demonstrated a few weeks ago, and how it compared to the Mister. Well, we're going to be using both those items tonight. Only through the ease of use of both of those could I pull this off, because we're going to compare and contrast these games in real time. I'm going to actually have them running. I've got my Batocera PC fired up here, and I've got my Mister fired up, and I'm using the twin magic of my dual input capture card. We're going to be comparing these and seeing what we think and how they compare to the actual game. Like I said, I'm going to go through these in order, in alphabetical order, just because why not? And the first one on my list is Amidar. I remember Amidar from back in the day. This was a 1982 arcade game. It's a Konami game. It was not one of my favorites, but it does have people that really enjoy it. And so what you're looking at on your screen right now is the JOTD's version of Amidar. And so we're going to give this a whirl here. I'm going to be using two controllers tonight. I'm going to be using the Neo Geo style gamepad, and I'm going to be using on the Batocera, I'm going to be using the El Cheapo Grande here, the old kind of jacked up Super Nintendo game machine or controller with the twin sticks and the extra buttons. I found this to be a pretty competent controller, if I'm honest. And so we're going to give this a whirl. I will say I've never personally spoken with JOTD. In fact, I just only recently looked into who he was. I mean, I knew of him. I knew of his work, but I didn't necessarily know like anything about him as a person. I didn't know his real name or and I still don't know a lot of stuff. But I can tell you that his real name is and this is public knowledge, so I'm not talking out of school here. His real name is Jean-Francois Fabre, or Jeff Fabre, if you're brevity type. And he, along with a crew, do these games. So, I will say at the top of the screen there, by the way, I should mention, I'm not affiliated with JOTD, but I'm a fan of his work. And I wanted to give you an opportunity to not only get these games. By the way, all these games are currently available, and you can get them on his itch.io page. Everything we play tonight from him will be available. That will work on your Amiga. I'll go over which Amigas they'll run on as we go through them. But normally the name gives them away. For example, this one's named Amidar 500. But please, I beseech you, if you think these games look interesting to you, you'd like to play these on your actual Amiga, hop over to itch.io at the address you see on your screen there, and I'll also put it in the show notes when we post this, and drop this guy a couple bucks. He's on the itch.io, sort of like pay what you want gimmick. You can get every one of these for free if you're some kind of cheap bum. Now listen, I'm an old school pirate from way back. There's no doubt about it. But when it comes to stuff like this, you gotta. I mean, I want more. I want much more. There's a bunch of arcade games I'd like to see get ported over, and I'm more than happy to throw a few bucks at this fellow and his crew. And I think a buck or two, and he's got a suggested price on these. I don't think it's too much to ask to throw the guys a buck or two. So again, that address will be at the top of the screen there the entire evening. Now, so let's fire this thing up. So what we've got here is the Amiga version of Amidar. I'm just going to add some credits here, and then we'll get this thing started out. In games, and if that's too loud, and I know it is, I'll turn it down a little bit here already, and we'll give this a whirl. So here we go. Now, in this game, you are that gorilla, and this changes per level, by the way, and your goal is to go through and complete these, get all the dots and complete the squares. Sort of like if Pacman and Kix had a baby, a special child, and this is what the result. And so in this level, your only goal is to go through and get all the dots and clear all the boxes. Now, you probably saw me hit a button there that made everything pop up when I was in deep trouble. You get 3 of those, and once they're gone, they're gone. And those will make everything bounce, and you get to pass through bad guys. I'm not the most proficient player of this game. Some people are really, really quite good at this, but this is not one of them. But I will do my best to give you a go. Now, this game, you can see what he's done here is he's taken this game and he's added, he's put the score and whatnot on the side. That was dumb. And so this is a vertical game. Actually, I believe I'm trying to remember if this is a vertical game or not. It may have been a vertical game. I can't remember, but it doesn't matter because what he's done is he's made this a horizontal game. He's basically put your score and whatnot on the side to fit the entirety of your Amiga screen. This is not something he always does. In fact, he often doesn't do it, and we'll get into that here shortly. This is a game I used to see featured heavily on the American video game game show known as Starcade. I mean, this is one I saw them play quite a bit on there. But it's funny because I don't recall seeing this one all that often in the arcade. I don't know how popular it was. It got a ton of ports, but I don't know if it was a real popular game or not. I would be interested if anybody in the chat, if this is one of your favorites, if this is a game you play quite often, and if you have any special strategy, you could let me know that too, because I'm doing my best here. Okay, so there we go. Yeah, Starcade was a great show. So now this game changes as you play it. So right now it's a bonus stage. I'm going to try to make this guy stop in the right area so I can get those bananas. I have not figured out what the trick is to this, to be honest with you. I don't know if I've ever successfully gotten the banana. I'm pretty sure it's just straight up luck. Okay, now this level, you're a paintbrush, and you have to paint around these point totals. So it's a different setup than the other one. And you see how it's not working here? I've got to continue from where I stopped painting. You know, so I've got to get all the way back down there and try to maneuver my way through. So let's try this again here. I'm back to having 3 jumps, so now I should be okay. Here we go. And I believe after a while, if you get enough money, you can actually you'll earn like something will happen where they'll all like be stunned for a minute. This is a much harder level. And it's funny, I will say they did take the core concept of this game and stretch it over into multiple play types, because this is actually not this isn't the only other play type. There's actually a lawnmower level, if you can get there, as I recall. It's funny because I would have never known that if it wasn't for Starcade, because they would always sort of discuss the games, and so sometimes I would learn stuff I never knew. Yeah, this was heavily. Sintara mentioned he seems like he remembers this. This thing was heavily like the gimmick was heavily horked back in the day. I will say some of the games we'll be playing tonight, some of them I'm better at than others, and this just happens to be one that I just didn't play that much. I like the music is nice and jaunty. I don't know if you guys can hear it or not. Let me try and turn it up a little bit here. There we go. Oh, see, now I'm screwed now. Yeah, so there you go. So that right there is just straight up, that's Amigar. So we've seen that one. And so I've got a little comparison. This looks a little bit better on verts than it does in horizontal games, but we're going to scoot over here. So what you're looking at here, on the left, you've got the Amiga version, and on the right, you've got the arcade version. I'm going to fire up the arcade version here, and we'll give this one a whirl, and we'll see how it compares. And I can tell the good thing about this, the play feel. I mean, you can sort of tell how it's going to feel. And I will say, this one, to me, right out of the gate, it feels pretty solid. But it's amazing if you look at the two, how accurate they are. I mean, again, having just played the Amiga version, keep in mind, I'm now playing the arcade version. You'd be hard pressed to tell much of a difference if it wasn't for the screen setup. In terms of the bad guys, I don't know if this is transcoded or not. I'll look here in a second once I finish this game, and we'll see. I know some of his are. It's funny, even the ones that are transcoded, I don't think any of them are fully transcoded. I think they're. I was reading on Phoenix, for example, something kept that one from being 100% transcoded. Transcoding is basically a technique to pretty much bring the entire game and it's like as accurately as possible over, just like you were basically using the same code. I'm no programmer. If someone in the chat can describe what transcoding is in a more accurate way, feel free to do it, and I'll read what you write. Because shoot, I'm doing just as well at this as I did the other one. Let's have a look and see what his. I've got his page on this right here. He says this features original visuals and sounds, faithful enemy behavior, and speed increases. 50 frames per second on a PAL, in PAL, even on the 68,000 A500. So this will work on your A500. All the levels, all the bonus levels, original intro, your keyboard or joystick. He does not have it written here if this is transcoded or not. I'm looking right here. It does have the credits here, but it doesn't. Some of these he'll say exactly how he did it. This is an attempted one-to-one port, so I'm assuming he did this without transcode. So I do not think this is a transcoded game. But there you go. That's Amidar. It's an interesting game. It's not my favorite, if I'm honest, but it's okay. It's an okay game. So what we're going to do here is I've got this rigged up to where I'm running, by the way, I should mention, I'm running all these Amiga games right off of the floppy disk using the Mister. So we're going to go to the next game, which is going to be Bagman. Bagman's a game I don't think a lot of people are real familiar with it, if I'm honest. But it's a great game. I was a real big fan of this back in the day. It's a game that I was never that good at, unfortunately. It's not the easiest game, but it's a fun game. Now look, he gives you quite a few options here. And this is something that some of these games feature and some don't. You've got your indestructibility, you've got unlimited time, unlimited cheats, the whole 9 yards here. We'll probably just go ahead and play the original version. Happy, thank God you're here. He's just chimed in. I'll read this to people that don't like to read. Transcode is the coding equivalent of a language translation. The original game runs on one chip, and a transcode changes all the instructions to their equivalent on the chip in the target machine. Totally professionally written, Happy. We're happy. I'm glad you were here to save my bacon on that, to give a more accurate interpretation of what the heck that means. So we're just going to go ahead and load up the basic game here. I'm going to hit 1. And we'll load that up. I did notice on a couple of his games, if you actually hit the wrong button, like it'll actually crash the system. So something to think about. Now I like the fact that when you load these up, look, they're totally playing the intro and stuff. So it does a good job to try to make it like the arcade, So which I think's dandy. Let's go ahead and have a read on what he says here about Bagman before we get into it. Let me get up here to it. So, This is actually titled Bagman 500. Again, he does that to tell you when you're going to play it on what machine. This is a remake. The original game was Validon Automation, 1982. It says here, according to JOTD, it uses 99% of the transcoded original code for better accuracy. So that right there tells you this right here is a straight-up transcode. This game has a history that dates back for several years, and you got to give him credit. He banged away at this one for quite a while. So let's give this a whirl. Now, I will say, as much as I like Bagman, I've never been very good at Bagman, but what are you going to do? So a lot of his games, you hit 5 to add coins, and then you hit the button here, and then you're in. I'm adding credits here. Here we go. So the object of this game is to get the money. The problem is you've got these. I've never 100% sure if these are guys that are trying to catch you and put you back in jail, or these are the guys that work at the railroad. I think they work at the railroad. Anyway it goes, they've got batons, and they'll drop the hammer on you. Your goal in this game is to get all the bags into your wheelbarrow. This game, I always thought this was quite a neat game, and one of the reasons I thought it was so cool was the fact that it had multiple screens, which wasn't 100% done at this point. You see, in real life, he'd have been killed right there. I sort of got screwed. But in this game, he can pass through. You can tell, I have played Bagman many times. It's funny for a game that I don't think was that popular. This one got ported and cloned all over the place, including a clone I played on the Coco. So check this bit out. Here they come. Watch this bit. Here it comes. Suck it. But they don't stay down for long. They don't sell it for too long. The key to this game is sort of like get all your money lined out. See, I got a real problem here. See, I was going to try to drop that on him before he got up there. So, there are two ways to get past the guards in this. I mean, you can confront them by dropping money on them, or you can actually take that pickaxe and literally try to kill them. So, if you're so inclined, when you're carrying the money bag, you are labored in your movement because you're carrying more weight. So, I'm going to go here and take a couple screens over. You can also move that wheelbarrow. If you want to get lots of time, you drop this guy from a longer distance down. We're out of here. So I didn't quite make it. Unfortunately. Yeah. I assume this is gold, but it could just be straight up cold money. Uh-oh, it ain't good. It ain't good. Oh, jeez. Not so good. So that's Bagman. I really think they did a good job on that one. Let's hop over to the comparison screen. And so what you've got here is, I'll go ahead and start this, just let it run. And then this is what we're going to play on the right side here. This is the arcade version. I mean, you can see, just have a look right there. Of course, this is the kind of accuracy you would expect in an arcade, game. Let me put some credits in here. And see, here we go. So I'm playing on the computer, on the arcade version right now, and you can see the accuracy is quite good. We'll try to get in that thing there. I always like this bit. See you later, jerk. You can sort of get away from him that way. But I will say that the arcade game plays a little faster, I think, than the Amiga version. How did I miss him? My God. I think this one, the Amiga version, tends to be a little slower, and I've noticed that on some of these, and I don't know exactly why that is. I would assume, I don't know if it's a limitation of the machine. Now, keep in mind that I'm running this on something that's pretty much the equivalent of a, an Amiga 1200 running at a good speed. So I would say some of these are just going to be a little bit slower. And that's the way she goes. So that was a look at Bagman. We're going to keep on trucking here and try the next one in line, which is Donkey Kong, a particular favorite of mine. You can see these load up quite quickly as well, which is nice. Anybody ever play Bagman? I would be interested to know. I mean, like in the arcade. I've seen Bag. Of course, I've been to Galloping Ghost, but I remember back in the day, I actually saw Bagman a couple places. Not for long. I mean, I don't know if I ever saw a single person sit up there and play it. Because normally when someone would sit down and play something, I would actually watch them play to try to figure out what was going on because I was cheap. I had a limited amount of quarters. And I couldn't just throw my money away without knowing what I was getting into. So I'd sit down and watch everybody play. So I had a pretty good working knowledge of all the different games. But I don't remember ever seeing anyone sit down and play Bagman. So next on the docket here, you know it, you love it. It's the big dog, the Donker, the Donkey Kong. Now, you guys probably know I own a Donkey Kong, so I'm more than a little familiar with this one, and I'm quite particular about how it plays. So here we go. You notice that he's got all the nice sounds and graphics. Everything's done. It's got the opening. I'm going to have a go at this, then we'll learn a little bit about it. Now, this one, of course, could be just because I was just playing Bagman, but this one feels a great deal more peppy than the... Oh! Man, this is also set on, like, murder. It's funny, I've played this a lot on my machine where I've set the dip switches. So, anytime you see that fireball come up that quick, it's set to kill. So... I'll adjust my play style here accordingly. Of course, there are tricks to this. If you want to see those tricks, you can go watch our good buddy Jack Flack. He's real good at doing that stuff. I never do the tricks. I never point press. I just play. I've always been that way. You can hear that the barrel sound cut off there a little bit. So that's something you wouldn't hear in the normal Donkey Kong. That doesn't happen. Where, I mean, right in the middle of the sound, it just stops. So that's definitely something with the port. That feels good, though. Donkey Kong's all about the feel and how it feels, and this feels quite nice. In fact, it's very, very peppy. I'll be interested to see this compared to the arcade because I think this feels real peppy. I'm assuming you guys can hear the sound effects and stuff. They did a good job. Sound effects are all there, nice quality. Knock these guys out real quick. I consider myself a good hand at this game, but well, yeah. We're comparing this to Flank isn't really a fair comparison. I mean, it's a whole different type of game, in all honesty. Of course, this is set up. This is not set the Japanese tradition of Donkey Kong, where it makes way more sense in that version because that screen we just did is the last screen, which makes I remember as a kid I was like, "What's going on here? Why is he dead? Why is he back? What's happening?" Not screwing around tonight, boys. I heard that. When I can get up there that quick, you got something, brother. It's hard to believe. It's hard to believe that this is on an Amiga. I remember playing that C64 port of Donkey Kong for years on the Amiga, and I thought I was King Dong. I was like, oh, I got something here. Or playing Donkey King on the Coco. By the way, Coco has an outstanding transcode of Donkey Kong. And I blew my mind when I first saw it. I couldn't believe it. So the transcodes are awesome if you've got the prowess to pull them off. And I believe I've read that they're very time heavy. I'm just screwing around now. Normally, you don't ever want to do anything that stupid. I'm going to run through the cement factory here, and then we'll quit when we're ahead, if I can get there. You never know. I mean, I lost a guy on the first level. There's a method to how you do this level, which I never do. I've got my own method. But I will say Flack is a better player at this. Certainly a better point player than I am. But I have my fun. You know, we have of course we have the machine out in the arcade that has this and Donkey Kong 2 on it, which was a game a fellow made out of the assets of Donkey Kong. It's a very, very difficult game. Uh-oh. That's all right. All right. You know, Happy, it's funny you should mention that, man. I was wondering about that because I know people have been using AI-assisted programming now. It's gaining popularity. I've heard that programmers are a little worried that the AI's abilities at this sort of thing. And I wondered about transcoding. Like I said, I'd heard it was labor-intensive. You know, while I'm thinking about it, we should mention this, that our own Happy Coding here has been laboring a lot on a Pacman. Oh, boy, that got rolled the wrong way. On a Pacman game, and it is looking very sharp, I have to say. I've been getting a sneak peek of it. I actually have the early build of it. And, I mean, Happy continues to do the impossible, which is drag great arcade games kicking and screaming out of the ZX. Oh, man, I'm telling you, I've had no luck on this. Maybe we won't be seeing the cement factory. Oh, wow. Okay. Well, shoot. That was dumb. So there you go. There you go. There's Donkey Kong on the Amiga. Let's switch over to our, I'll just put in a name here. And then we'll switch over to our comparison screen, and I'll have a bit of a go with the, so, I mean, look at that. That's as good as it gets right there. I'm going to just put a couple credits in here. And then we'll give this one a whirl. And I'll go ahead and start a game here just for fun, so you can see how they compare. We'll just play for a minute here. But I mean, if you watch as this game comes up, obviously I'm only playing on one screen, but watch how the barrels roll. Watch how the fire moves. Watch how everything gets, and you can tell when it's accurate. You know, I may be crazy. I may be out of my mind. But I think that the Amiga version is peppier than the actual arcade version. I have this feeling that it is. I'm feeling it with my hand here, trying to see if I'm nuts or not. But it's not a bad thing, by the way. I kind of like that. I mean, I'm talking the minutest level of difference when it comes to that sort of thing. That feels pretty good. If you saw these side by side, I think you'd be hard pressed to pick out the Amiga version against the arcade version, in my opinion. I'm going to get killed here. I'm going to start both these up at the same time so we can watch the intros, and we'll see how closely they match up. That'd be kind of neat. We'll see how these things match up. So we've got credits in both of these. Okay, so here we go. I think this will work. Yeah. Well, I think that says a lot right there. I mean, that is dead on. Dead on. I mean, so you got to give him credit on that. That is something. That is something. Well, I mean, that's what transcoding gives you, ladies and gentlemen. You get accurate action there, and it's quite amazing. So that was Donkey Kong. We'll go ahead and load up the next one there. I was very impressed with that one, though, obviously. I really thought that was dandy. Next on the docket here is going to be Galaxian. Now, Galaxian is sort of a divisive game. Oh, I want to look at. I'll look at the info of Donkey Kong before we go to Galaxian real quick, so we haven't talked about it. Because I would like to see exactly what he had in that. Let me scroll down here to it. Here we go. That's Donkey Kong 500. So, that is a transcode of Donkey Kong. Z80 to Amiga 68,000 conversion. By the way, a lot of his guys are similar, and he's got a guy named Number 9 who does a lot of the tunes. Those tunes are Amiga remakes, according to this, so that's pretty impressive. It says here it features 100% identical game, high score save, level selection, and kill screen fix. So there you go, kind of neat. And I guess this will run on your Amiga 500. I don't see any sort of, I don't see anything here that says that you have to have a certain amount of memory or whatnot. So, pretty good. Next, of course, we're now looking at Galaxian. I'll go ahead and get the info up for Galaxian while I'm here. I think you did Galaxian a while back. Let's have a look here. So, this game is in beta. I will tell you that. According to him, this is a transcode from the original arcade game to the from the Z80 to the 68K 68,000 processor. He thinks it's bug free. It's fully playable with sound. Apparently, he's also porting this to the Neo Geo MVS, if you're into that sort of thing. So that's kind of neat. And the rest of it's the usual rigmarole. So we're going to have a look at this. Well, we'll find out, Happy. I mean, you may be right. By the way, I applaud your incredible knowledge of of the Galaxian. Even I've played a lot of Galaxian. I never paid that much attention to that, if I'm honest. So that's kind of neat. If you're wondering what he's talking about, if you see the stars back there, some of them occasionally flash. That's apparently that's a feature, not a bug, right? I'm gonna load up Galaxian on my Batocera rig here. Okay, so let's give this a whirl. I should be able to do this just like I have been doing it. So on this one, you hit the number 5 to add credits and hit 1 to start up, just like MAME. Now this game, a lot of people don't like this game because it's hard. It's way harder than than Galaga, for example. This is a game for point pressing, because I instantly get killed. You want to maneuver, and you want to be careful and selective with your shots. That's the key. And you want to get killed at all points. I'm telling you how great I am at this, but trust me, I'm not. But there was a time when me and my buddy the Chud, we were having point contests on this game, and I actually got halfway decent at it. But I would never say I got good at it. I will say that. If you can get that little convoy, I mean, that's how you get the big points. But they made a lot of changes in Galaga that made a lot of sense. One of them was the way you shoot. Shooting in this is very limiting because you only have that one shot at a time. I will say, playing this game, given its transcode, once again, I feel like we've got a pretty accurate transcode here because this game is difficult and frustrating and brutal. I believe this is one of the first games to have that was in color when it came out. If you think about the age of it, it does. Happy's right. It does. This sort of blows your mind. This came out in the 70s, and what blows your mind about it is the fact that it's still it looks more modern than it is. I mean, when I say modern, I mean this looks like something that would fit comfortably in your arcade in 1983, you know. But it came out substantially earlier. And if you think about the games that were in the arcades in '79, and we've covered some of the stuff like ARG, your stunt cycles and that sort of thing. It was all black and white. You know, this is not too far removed from like Space Invaders that we got in '78 or '77 in Japan. And so, you know, that game only had color because of the overlays that were involved. It didn't actually have color. I've got an original Space Invaders cocktail cabinet in my son's room. He uses it as a desk. We got this thing broke years ago, and I went through and just maimed it up and did some stuff with it. It was pretty bad shape. I sold the boards out of it. But yeah, if you look at it, Mitsuyama, you sort of nailed it in the head. Is this the all-time great game? No. But what it is much more interesting, much deeper, and much more advanced than Space Invaders. And I mean, in every way. It's color. It's got better sound. It's got better graphics. It's got a more intricate theme. It's got more gameplay elements. Hey, finally. At least I got all past the first level here. And so this won't be long here where I get creamed. When you get to like the 4th or 5th level of this, it gets pretty crazy. I think there's a little bit of slow in this. It seems to me I'll have to play the arcade version. By the way, I should disclaimer here. In no way do I think that the Batocera is going to provide a more arcade accurate interpretation of Galaxian than the arcade or any of these games. But what it does do, it gives you, in my having played it for years, it gives you a pretty good rendition of the game. And I would call it arcade accurate. In fact, I think most of the arcade games from MAME are more accurate than a lot of the Mr. games for the arcade, because the Mr. games are still work in progress and not as much time has been put into them. That's a controversial statement, I'll grant you. So let's give this a shot. This is Galaxian. This is the arcade version via the Batocera. So we'll give this one a whirl. Just for fun, I'll start a game on here. And you can see how this runs. You absolutely do see a difference in these stars at the bottom of the screen. If you look closely there. Can anyone spot differences here? Again, I'm playing on the arcade side. I'm playing just as poorly. We'll say that. Now, Happy, since you're a programmer, I'm going to pick your brain here. I don't know how much transcoding and experience you have, but if one were to transcode a machine, like why would that subtle difference come up in the coding? Is it a timing issue, or what do you think? I mean, to me, like I said, given what I know about transcodes, generally, I was under the impression that like they were for the most part as close to 100% accurate as you're going to get. Yeah, the differences in the stars. Like, why would that happen? Let's try this again. And you can see a pretty big difference. The feel, now that I'm playing this, I will say, this doesn't feel really that much different from the Amiga version. I will say, I think you got a pretty similar setup. I would love to get this fleet just once online, but I don't think I'm going to. So anyway, there's your Galaxian. You suckers! They went off the screen. I think this is it's not the most popular game, like I said, but I mean, for the people that are into it, it's a lot of fun. I've always enjoyed it quite a bit, and it's one that I do go back to on occasion. So, let's move on to our next game here. We're going to try what's next in line here. This should be interesting. This is your Karate Champ. Boy, I love this game, everybody. And this is the Versus one as well. So I could actually have played 2 players at this, that'd be a lot of fun. And it gives you plenty of options here. Let's have a look at these here real quick. And I'll go in here and look at his the flavor text for this one. Okay. So according to what he's got here on the itch.io page, Let me dig down here to find Karate Champ. Here we go. So, of course, this is the, it says here, Karate Champ port for the Amiga should run on any Amiga with 2 megabytes of RAM. And he says here, sorry, could not squeeze this into 1 meg. He could not do it. The reverse engineering transcoded for the original Z80 and then adapted to the 68,000. That sounds like your usual. Running on a 20, it says running in 25 hertz on a 68,000 machine, but 50 hertz unexpanded to A1200, and even better with fast memory. And we're going to see how this controls. This is one you're probably going to want to tinker with, you know, to make it do what you want. But it's understandable given, if you're not familiar with Karate Champ, this was a game that used 2, it didn't have any buttons. It had 2, each player had 2 joysticks. So we're going to, we're just going to go with the default, which is 1. And we'll try to figure it out. There we go. I don't know how it's going to work, but we'll figure it out. So let's put some credits in. Oh, good. I'm going to need to practice here. Okay, so it looks like what he's done is he's mapped the directions to the buttons, which is a good move. Let me see if I can figure out how they work. Okay. This is not going to be my finest hour, because these are not quite exactly where I would put them, but it should be good enough for demonstrational purposes. Again, this is the a transcoded version of this game on the Amiga. So what you're seeing here is on the Amiga. Quite impressive. I like to start every match out with a front kick. See if I can get it here. Oh, wrong button. Oh! Oh, he shut me up. Wow. What a jerk. There we go. Oops, wrong. There we go. This game, when it first came out, I played the single-player version. And I can tell you, the only thing we wanted was a 2-player version of this. Oh! Wow. What's up, Amiga Cammy? Good to see you. We're going to try that again, now that I've got the controls a little more figured out. Again, if you're tardy to the party, tonight we're looking at the games of JOTD, the translated arcade titles that he brought over to the Amiga. And right now we're looking at Karate Champ, the 2-player version. Yeah, yes, yes, Mitch. Someone had to say it, I suppose. Oh, man, this guy usually comes in weak. He's not screwing around. God, I swear to you, I'm quite good at this game, but I would have to move these buttons around to make this work. God. Come on, you sucker. I've got an arcade machine that has 4 joysticks on it, and this is one I like to. We do play quite a bit when we're out there. Yeah. I'm sitting on that lunge punch, brother. Also, I was in karate when this came out, so like, I was all up in it, man. I was like, oh yeah. I think this does give you that option. If you look at the instructions, I did have a look at them the other day, and there are options. He's got this made for the CD32 gamepad, and which I don't have hooked up. But it's easily, it'd be, you know, in the Mister, it's easily remedied. But if you were playing this on your Amiga, you would have better results from a control perspective. Yeah, the 1-inch punch. Yeah, I've got that, except unfortunately, it does no damage. There it is. Reverse punch to the gut, brother. This should be hilarious. This part here. I'm in deep trouble now on the bonus stage. At Boatfest last year, myself and Tapes from the Crypt had an epic battle, and I had the best night of my life playing this game. Yeah! Bam! That's just the way I wrote it up. We'll try one more here, and then we'll look at the arcade version, see how it compares. Oh! Got me in midair, brother. You know, when I was in karate, we had a contingency of Japanese karate practitioners like come to America. Keep in mind, I'm in West Virginia. This is not Japan. And these kids came over and they smoked us. They were so much better at karate. I went to a tournament, and it's the only time I ever saw this happen in a tournament. One of the Japanese guys was fighting my buddy, and he did a front flip over my buddy. And my buddy looked around like, where'd he go? And the guy kicked him in the back. It's one of the best things I ever saw. It was the darndest thing I ever seen. Yeah. Their karate was leagues better than what we were being taught. There it is. There you go. It's hard to believe this is on an Amiga. I have to keep having to tell myself that. Come on. Ah. You know, while this is running, I'm going to switch over to the comparison screen here. And I've got, of course, the arcade version running here. I believe this is the, I think the one that we're looking at might be the one-player version. That, but it doesn't matter. So, and you know how this goes. I actually have two joysticks that I can use on the arcade version here, and it's all rigged up, so I should be able to do a little bit more. But you can see, I mean, if you look at that, quite nice. I mean, they match up quite nicely. Oh, wow. Right out of the gate, instantly get kicked. There it is. Oh! Kicked in the back of the head. That's right. Now I can't stop thinking about Ron Jeremy, unfortunately. Oh, the groin! Oh, in the back. I will say, after playing one right after the other one, the game feel is quite good. I have to say. I do like the way it feels. Yeah. Listen, this was the original fighting game. And, I mean, they got it down, in my opinion. They really got it down with this one. And the truth of the matter is, this stands up today as a great fighting game. I really believe that. I mean, I think it's a great fighting game. And one of the things I like about it is the control scheme. I mean, it really, anyone can pick this control scheme up and try and get good at it. You know, people are like, oh, I don't think I can do it, but you can. It's actually a lot easier than playing Street Fighter or something. You know, so, yeah, this is an all-time classic, like, arcade Hall of Fame type game. And I'll give JOTD, I think this is another big winner here, in my opinion. Let's go ahead and move on down the line here and see what's next on the docket. By the way, you can also get these. You don't have to get these in floppy format. You can also get them in, hard drive installable or WHD load. That was a great game. Love that game, Kung Fu Master. So this we're trying out here. I'm not gonna lie. This is one of my all-time faves. I'll put this in horizontal mode because this is Moon Patrol. Man, I owned the Moon Patrol so briefly, unfortunately, back in the day. I mean, I love this game. And I had one, but it was early in my arcade collecting career, and the monitor was dead. And I was scared to fool with monitors back in those days. I was actually rightly scared, if I'm honest, because dealing with monitors is not much fun. But I I ended up selling it, desperately selling it. Unfortunately, I wish I hadn't. So you can see it gives us a lot of options here. You've got your cheat codes and stuff. Let's have a look at his. Before we get into it, we'll look at the developer notes here on this one. Of course, I think everyone here knows about Moon Patrol, an all-time classic. This was transcoded again to the 68,000 from the Z80. Same number 9 did the Amiga music on this one. This has AGA. This is Moon Patrol 500, but I think you get AGA benefits if you have it. Yes, this will run on the OCS 512 chip, 512 fast with some slowdown. And of course, you can't use WHD load. It has an ECS. It'll run on the 1 meg. And the AGA, you get some extra benefits the faster you go. So this one actually ramps up as you play it. So let's give this one a whirl. This is the all-time classic. And we'll just hit 1 and fire it up. What's up, Joski Rock? Good to see you, brother. You know, Kung Fu Master, they recently did sort of an Amiga, like, updated version of that I quite enjoyed. Let's see here. We covered it on the show, too, if you're interested. Great sound on this. 2-button support. Let's see if we can get anywhere. Look at the nice scrolling. I mean, this feels good, everybody. This feels real good. You can see the UFOs coming over. You got 3 different types of UFOs, including one that drops the craters, the crater bombs. On the first level, I just go, brother. I don't screw around. The buttons are reversed from where I would normally have them, but that's not a deal breaker. And again, this is gonna, when you play this on your Amiga, your mileage will vary. Oh! Get off me. Must get to E. Here they come. Oh! I think what I should have said. Dying on the first level again. I'm going to turn in my cool guy card. I'm glad that Brent's not here. I never hear the end of it. And of course, every time you cross that last letter, you got to try to be in the air, brother. I did, Happy. Gosh, I checked that out. I totally forgot about it. But yes. Boy, was I surprised. Tell the people about that, Happy. They might want to... I'd say a lot of people hadn't heard of that. All right, look at the Lunar City. This is a concept of a game that's just... I love the concept of it. Now, you can't move... You can't go crazy on this level. This feels real good. Feels real good. There we go. These suckers. Oh, double rock! Dadgummit. Stupid double rock. I forgot to hit jump right there. That was just being dumb. I looked at the chat for 1 second. Anytime I die, it's the chat's fault. Remember that. You guys are killing me. Yeah. All right. All right, here now it gets interesting. Shit. Well, what'd you think? Were you interested? Let's try the arcade version, everybody. and see how these things compare. Now, of course, these are horizontal games, so I'm going to just kind of put it right there, and let me go ahead and start another game here, and then we'll go ahead and try the arcade version, and I at least can let you know how I think they feel versus one another. I don't think my non-playing self's going to get very far. Again, this one, I'm playing the arcade versions. They're on Batocera, so their MAME instantly get killed because the buttons are different on this one. Try that again. I would say Batocera is pretty darn accurate, the MAME here, to Moon Patrol that I've played in the past. Again, this one, it's funny, some of the games for the Amiga, to me, seem a little bit slower, and some of them feel a little more crisper. It's not a bad thing, it just feels real snappy, and I think the Moon Patrol feels quite snappy as I play the arcade version, which is a good thing. I think it feels, the game feels quite good. It's quite good. So I'm very impressed by that. I'm going to run this thing to the E here. I'm just trying to feel. Look at that. You see that? You don't see that all that often, but the guy just kamikazes. But I would say I do like the snappiness of the Amiga version. So this, some people might ask. In fact, my brother is one of these people that asked this. Like, why bother doing this? And there's two reasons. One, because you can. It's an interesting exercise in programming and skill and whatnot. But the other reason is, and also you're opening up the thing I like about these transcodes and these ports is that you may be exposing people to these classic games that have never had a chance to play them, and so I think it's a good thing. But also you do get some little differences even in the way they feel. It's not a bad thing, in my opinion, to do that. I think it's a good thing to give people the choice of trying it out like that. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one here. I like Moon Patrol, though. I give that one an enthusiastic thumbs up. Okay, the next on the docket is Miss Pacman. So we're going to give Miss Pacman a whirl. We'll let that boot up. And I'll get the information for this one. This one takes a little longer than the other ones. There it goes. Now you can see this one. This one here has, again, much like Amidar, they've put the scoring and stuff on the side to create the vertical playfield that you need to play this game. Let's look up Mrs. Pacman and see what he had to say about it. This is Mrs. Pacman 500. He says here, this is a successful attempt by JOTD to create a one-to-one port of the famous arcade game on the Amiga 500 using 100% 68K assembly. All right, so duly noted. This is a one-to-one port using assembly. The display is 4:3 to give you the proper layout. Hey, take it easy, Mitsuyama. Thanks for hanging and banging, brother. Right, I'm right there with you, Joski. In case you're wondering what you have to run this on your Amiga, any 68,000 CPU, Kickstart 1.3, 512K, or Kickstart 2 with a meg. And it says here it has all the original visuals and sounds, the original ghost behavior and speed, 50 frames per second PAL, even on a 68,000 A500, all the levels, the intermissions, the intro, the joystick control. Not too bad. It says there's a minor issue. The ghosts of the pin bounce slightly too fast at the high levels. They're itching to get out of there. The intermissions, he says here, have been changed to acts. And so he's got a little mention here of what he did here. He had a lot of people work on this with him, too, including sprite rippers. So this was done in 68,000 code, which I find interesting. So that's kind of neat. Let's go ahead and give this one a whirl here and see how she plays. So I'm going to load up some credits here. There we go. My brother is an all-time master of this game. Me, not so much. but we'll give it a whirl. I mean, I think I speak for most people when I say most people prefer this to Pacman. I do, and I think this. I will say playing this with this analog stick here on this thing is quite smooth, very smooth, and I mean very, very fine. I will say I think he got it quite nicely. The corn, you know, one of the problems with these things. What's up, Adam? What's up, Pixels Dawn? One of the problems with the translating these games is, I mean, it's the small stuff, isn't it? Like getting hung up on corners, and the way the ghosts act. You know, that's the stuff you notice when you play this a lot. This is another one me and the Brent used to own. Boy, I hated getting rid of this one. Look at that. Pay window. Let's just finish the level. I want to see one of these intermissions. There it is. Very good. I think if you get this for your Amiga, think about this, by the way. Put yourself in the Wayback Machine and say, hey, tell all your buddies on the playground or wherever you used to have these discussions. Say, yeah, I got the original Miss Pacman at the house. It's identical to the arcade on my Amiga 500. Like, these days, I guess no one cares that much. But back in the day, you would have been King Dong in the schoolyard if you'd unleashed this bad boy on the unsuspecting public. Because nobody would have believed that you could play this at home. That's something else that transcodes do. Give you the ability to play these incredible games on, like, systems you never thought would have ever run them. Oh, that ain't good. I mean, when I loaded up Donkey Kong on the Coco, I mean, gobsmacked. I couldn't freaking believe it because that's not possible, you know? But it is. That last batch of dots is going to be a real pain. Whoops. Oh! Dadgummit. That's what you don't ever read all the dots up to. By God, we're going to see this intermission. I promise you. Here we go. Bam. Perfect. Sounds just like it did. Perfect. That's dandy. You can see here that he's got the... I love, you know, one of the things that got this game over was the beautiful pastels and they really did a good job of sort of feminizing the game, you know, because it should be. It's Miss Pacman. And, of course, no one was against having varied mazes, which was made a huge difference. I don't know. I think these games are evergreen happy. I think there's never been a time where I have not seen someone playing the Miss Pacman game at the local arcade if it's there. That's why they always recommission it. Remember the Miss Pacman Galaga combo unit? They sold a zillion of those. Their games are over, man. Some games just never go away. Galaga's a game like that, and I think Miss Pacman is a game like that. I think you've got yourself a game that anyone can pick up at any time. I think even on the playground, people would have been impressed that you were playing this on your Amiga 500. I mean, you got to think, if you had a 500, let's say it's 1989. Yeah, this game's a few years old, but my God, show me the other guy that can play it. It'd be amazing. So I think that's a winner. Let's switch over and have a look at the arcade version of this and see how we do on that. Now, of course, again, this is horizontal, so it's the resolution is going to be a little wonky here in this comparison screen, but you can get the picture here. So I'm going to get myself some credits here. And just watch how Miss Pacman moves and see if you think the smoothness is there that you saw in the Amiga version. Something about the way... listen, and I know Bo would fricassee me here, but I'm just going to say it. Something about the way the Amiga renders graphics and colors and something. There's a warm, I don't know what it is about the palette, but it gives you a warm glow. There's a feeling to it that you don't even get in the arcade version. I'm not saying the Amiga version's better. I'm just saying there's something about the Amiga. Am I the only one? Does anyone else get that with Amiga graphics where they really do feel a lot of games? They have a feeling. The colors, the way they're represented, have a warm feeling. It could be nostalgia, I suppose, but that's always the way I've felt about it. What's up, Mountain Stars? I can't tell if you're laughing at me or not. Listen, I know I am a doofus, but I've always liked that. Certain systems have that feel to me. They give you that nice warm feeling. Or some feeling. Like the Vectrix is another one. You play those Vectrix games, man, you get in there and you're just like, man, what's going on, dude? It's good to see you. I'll fill you in on what we're up to here. We're playing the arcade translations of JOTD to the Amiga, and then we're trying them on the arcade side to see how they play. I would say this is quite. I don't know. Does anybody in the chat see any major differences? Between the two. I mean, it feels like this is a pretty good rendition here. It feels pretty smooth. Again, when they transcode stuff, they should feel smooth, but this is a one-to-one knockoff. And I think he did a great job of it's quite amazing that someone could do this, just out of the ether. They could make the game just because they wanted to make it like it was in the arcade. Very nice. The gameplay is smooth, brother. I was very impressed with that one. So, that was Miss Pacman on the Amiga. Keep in mind, this will play on any of your Amigas, but the further up the line you go, the better performance you're going to get. So if you've got a faster Amiga, this will actually do a nice job of bumping this one up. So let's see what's next on the docket here. We're just going to go right into Pacman. We won't spend a ton of time with Pacman since we just played Miss Pacman, but we'll give it a whirl. We'll load it up. I believe it is also a translation. Let me load this up on my... so this one didn't come up with any sort of intro. It just came right into the game. I'll let you have a look there at the load screen. So let me go over here and read what he's got written here about Pacman. It's Pacman 500. This is a successful attempt by JOTD to create a one-to-one port of Pacman. 100% 68,000 assembly. Again, like the last one, it's in 4x3, so you can add that squirrel on the side. It's the way to do it on a home version, I think. This requires any Kickstart and 512K memory. Has all the original sounds, 50 frames per second on PAL. All the levels and intermission sequences, the original intro. He says there's a few minor issues. One wasted bit plane because a full pallet passed when dumping bobs. Happy, you may know what that means. I have no idea. And he also says wasted number of lines while allocating screen memory. So there you go. So let's have a go at this one. This was my brother's favorite game when he was a kid. I mean, he loved this game so much. And so, he had his whole room was. See you later, Joeski. Thanks for popping in, brother. Brent's whole room was Pacman. Pacman curtains, Pacman bedspread, Pacman trash can, Pacman snack tray, Pacman puzzle, Pacman the board game. I mean, he loved Pacman. By the way, did you see Pinky just went right by me? That's exactly what's supposed to happen. I believe there's a spot in this game that you can put your Pacman and he can never be killed. I want to say it's right here. Nope. Well, I can't remember where it's at. Bob's, okay, there you go, Happy. Okay, that's fine. But Brent was such a Pacman mark. I mean, it was unbelievable. And so he always wanted to play Pacman at the arcade and stuff. But it's funny, I don't remember him being particularly good at Pacman. And eventually, he became the world's biggest Miss Pacman mark. And when we bought that machine, he rang that sucker up. I mean, he would win a local contest, hands down. I don't know how I do on a world stage, but he was a heck of a hand at it. You notice that everything disappears. I don't remember that happening. We'll check when we get the other game up to see when you eat these guys if they all disappear. I don't think they're supposed to. There we go. I want to get to the. I see, Happy. Well, that explains it. By the way, Doc. The truth of the matter is, I'm not not nearly good enough at Pacman to even attempt to choose something cute. I'm just trying to eat all the dots so we can see the funny cartoon, which is ironically that's exactly what I tried to do in the arcade. Let's must see cartoon, eat dots. You know, Happy, of course, you're going through the process of porting this yourself, so it must be interesting to see someone else's attempt on it. Of course, they're on a computer that's like magnitudes more powerful than what you're dealing with. But having seen, I will say, but I don't want to put Happy over too much, but I love the guy. He's super talented, and his version of Pacman on the ZX is mind-blowing. It really is an unbelievable port. So give him a shot. Here we go. By the way, I'd like to ask JOTD to port the mother of all Pac-Man games over. The only one I was ever any good at, and the only one I enjoyed, Super Pac-Man. Super Pac-Man's the king dong of all Pac-Mans. It's the game which other Pac games are measured. I love that game. And the funny thing about it is it looks like the kind of game that I would hate because it's so weird. It's a weird game. But it's a game I always was good at and I enjoyed. I thought it was a lot less tedious than the other Pac-Man games. That's another one, by the way, I used to see all the time on Starcade was Super Pac-Man. And those idiot contestants, because you had those games were like timed. And so you had to get a certain score or whatever, a certain amount of time. And inevitably, these idiots wouldn't go in and get the Super Pac-Man pellets, or they wouldn't use the super speed. It used to drive me nuts. No, no, no. There you go. All right, let's have a look at this. I'm just going to go ahead and let this guy get killed, as they say, and we'll try this out on the arcade version here. Let's go to our screen comparison area here. And again, this one is off-center because of the siding there. We'll give this a whirl. Again, this is on the, in case you were late, this is on the Batocera build that's running on a PC at my house here. In MAME emulation here. I want to see if this thing does the same thing that the other one was doing. Ah, they did not disappear. That's what I was wondering. So that is one of the it's one of the deals there. Of course, some of this stuff also could be there could be revisions of the arcade that I've not seen before. You know, there's any number, but I'm just it's not, and none of this stuff's a deal breaker. It's just sort of an interesting point to see what you know, having set these side by side. These both feel good, by the way. I mean, this one feels nice and smooth, and but I mean, there's really you could pretty much interchange this with the one I just played and without any issue. I think it feels pretty good. No kidding. Interesting. Hope you're doing well down in Texas tonight, Tex. It's good to see you in here. Hey, you know, you're mentioning Baby Pac-Man. That's a machine I've almost bought, I mean, a dozen times. Because in the day, they were giving those things away back in the day. No one wanted them. Baby Pac-Man, the combination arcade machine and pinball machine. You've heard the jack of all trades, master of none. That game is the embodiment of that statement. However, there's two things about that game that are a good thing. Once you learn how to play it, it's not that bad. But one thing that is great, I've got a pinball machine in the arcade called Mr. and Mrs. Pac-Man. And effectively, it's a pinball machine that tries to emulate a video game on the play field. And I find it to be exponentially better than Baby Pac-Man as a pinball machine, and it's almost better as an arcade machine. The one thing about Baby Pac-Man is the arcade graphics are horrible. They're sub-Atari. I always thought to myself, why would you could do the video game aspect? Why does it look so god-awful? Well, I don't know. I don't know why they did it that way. I don't know if it was the resolution of the monitor they were using, that they had to keep the game to look at, you know, down the graphics lower. I don't know what it was, but it was a horrible game. But it used to be, they were giving them away back in the day. Now, they're, as just like everything else, they're fetching a pretty penny. But nobody wanted a Baby Pac-Man. Plus, they were tough to keep up. And as a video game person, if you suddenly think to yourself, hey, I'm going to try my hand at taking care of a pinball machine, which is pretty much what I did, you're going to suffer the death of a million cuts, because pinball machines break all the time. Yeah, Happy just said it. There you go, Happy. You're dead on. So that was Pac-Man. I think that is just fine. That's not bad at all. let's head up to our next one here. And so the next one, boy, this is one of my all-time favorite games. And this is a game called Pengo. Holy smokes, do I love this game. I've been playing this one for years in the arcade. I love this game where you are the penguin and you're going around trying to kill the snow bees. A great game. This one gives you lots of fun options again. Looks like cheat keys. We're just going to click on the first one here like we've been doing. I like, by the way, this is a nice addition when he puts these in so you can, it gives you a little something to look at and it makes an easy way to make changes. Let's look at Pengo here and see what he had to say about porting that over. Here we go, Pengo. This is Pengo 500. This is a transcode from the Z80 to 68K, just like you've seen. Fully playable with sound, selectable levels. He's also ported this to the Neo Geo, by the way. Let's see here. The number 9 remade the Amiga tunes on here. And he's also even got a guy that designs the Amiga icons. I like that. It doesn't really have anything in here about the... I guess it will run on anything, since it's called 500. It didn't have anything about the specs that you need. Come on, Happy. Are you kidding me? The actual game... I'm not talking about the pinball portion, although it's generic, but I'm just talking about the screen. It's just so generic. I did not like it. But, I mean, if you did, I can understand it. This game, on the other hand, I do like. The old Pengo. So in this game, your goal is to get off this level by killing all the snow bees or matching up or really killing all the snow bees. You either kill them or they'll leave. Let's see what we can do here. Oh, man. Right out of the gate. Look at this. That was weird. This game does some strange things. Okay? And so you're going to get some moments where you get some oddness. Let me put this on the correct... Sorry about that, everybody. Here we go. See a little bit better now. So one of the things you can do here is vibrate the side of the arena, and you can use that to kill the snow bees. And other snow bees will come out. Now, do you see these diamonds here? If you match 3 of those up, you will actually get a big bonus, and it stuns all the snow bees. This does. Oh, see, that's a real good start for me. If I can line these up, we'll be laughing. You can see those one things that were red, they were glowing. That means snow bees were going to come out of there. Let's see if I can match up the. I'll probably get killed trying this, but let's give it a shot. Whoops, that was dumb. I didn't want to do that. The snow bees aren't super brilliant, but like right there, you can see that. You can get away with a little bit. These guys are coming up in bad spots. So that means they're going to leave when you hear the music go like that. Or they'll just kill you. Yeah. By the way, there are there are multiple revisions of the music in this game. And because I believe they got in trouble for using popcorn, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not going to die here. I am gonna die here. We're gonna try that again. That was on me. I gotta stop looking at the chat. You guys are killing me. It's your fault again. Let's try this again. Man, either these guys are more aggressive than I'm used to, or I'm very much out of practice. Yeti Dynamics. I don't know. I'm not sure we've met, my friend, but that's a great name you've got there. If you're just tuning in, we are looking at the transcodes and programming marvels of a fellow named JOTD, who has done all these ports on the Amiga. There we go. There we go. All right, the music steps up. So, man, There we go. And this is, so right now what you're looking at is Pengo transcoded over to the Amiga 500. And then in a moment, we'll compare this to the arcade and see how it stacks up. Although I can tell you, playing it right now, I've enjoyed it. I should mention, I don't know if I mentioned this, by the way, I guess this is pretty common knowledge. The little designs you see on the side of this are not part of the game. I'm putting those there. These games are all given in beautiful, wonderful, correct aspect ratios. You don't have to worry about that. Oh, man. This guy's got 1,000,000 lives. He won't go. So if we can get here in time. I'm telling you. What's up, Josh? Josh Malone, our good friend. So we're going to switch over here and have a look at how this stacks up against the arcade. So, again, on the left here is the Amiga version, and on the right here is your arcade version of it. Let me, of course, I'm looking at the wrong screen to start off here. Let's try this again. All right. And I will give you my personal thoughts. Of course, I've played this game for a million years. So, you wouldn't know it from watching me play just now, but I consider myself a fairly good player at this, although I'm not finding the button I need here. Let's try this again. I like the fact that, of course, beautiful. He's when he's got the opening screen and stuff. There we go. God. There was a time, everybody. I swear to God, I was actually a pretty good hand at this game, but that time may have passed. There we go. Some versions of this, they got rid of the bit where you can shake the wall. I mean, to say that's game breaking is an understatement. And so anytime I play a version of this, I believe the 2600 version did it, among others. Anytime you play a version where it doesn't have the ability to shake the wall, it's crap. Because that's vital to the game. There he goes. No bonus on that one. I like the feel of this. I mean, I think it's very, very close. I really can't tell much of a difference. I will say I'm dying and sucking at the exact same way at both of them. So there's also that. I'm going to blame part of this on game pads and not joysticks, which I'm not used to playing this with a gamepad, and I don't like it, not a bit. So I'm gonna go with that line. But I think these are quite comparable. I'm pretty happy with the way that one looks. So that was Pengo. I don't think you'll have any trouble on this one, playing this on your home, on your Amiga. I think you're in good shape on that one. Why don't we move on to the next item on the docket here, which, let's see what we've got next on the docket here. Phoenix. This literally hot off the presses here. God. This is another one. Another all-time classic for me. I love this game. And I've played it 60 million times. And it's another game that will make me look dumb because it's hard to get good at Phoenix. It's a real tough, random, sort of a janky game in its own way. Let's have a real quick look here about and see what we can read about his version of Phoenix. So again, Phoenix just coming out. I believe it just got released. I mean, it's been like less than 2 weeks. This is a remake of Phoenix for the ECS AGA. This does have AGA elements that you can have if you've got an AGA chipset. This is reverse engineered, transcoded, and also I've read that it says 99% gameplay. Yeah, here he has it listed with a 1% difference. And he had trouble with some of the elements of the bird, the vultures, moving up and down the screen at certain times. And so he had to write a little gimmick to get that to work. But otherwise, everything else should be here. I'm looking here to see. It's called Phoenix 500. So I assume this will run on your 500 and up. I don't see anything in here about how well it will run. So I assume it will run at full tilt. And then if you've got AGA, you've got a double reason. So let's go ahead and start this up. By the way, Pixel, speaking of Pengo, there's a sequel on the MSX. Well, is it a sequel? Maybe. It's a Penguin game. Pengo does have a sequel, and he does make appearances in other games. But I'm trying to think of the name of that. We played it on our ARG Presents. Right off the top of my head, I can't remember. But Pengo is such a great game. Yeah, I mean, if you're just now discovering it, you're in for a treat. Well, let's give this a shot, everybody. So, bam. This game needs 2 buttons, one for the shield and one for the fire button. So we'll see what we've got here. There's the shield. This game, I can only describe Phoenix as a game with a large amount of jank in it. It's a sketchy game. It doesn't act right. I mean, you can tell by the way these birds are moving. Like, it's real screwy. Look at that. Like, it's hard to get good at. But it's such a, I mean, it is an all-time classic, and it did a lot of stuff that was very unique to video games. I can tell you right now, having played Phoenix a bunch of times, this is running slower than I would expect Phoenix to run, and your fire rate seems faster than I would expect it to run. Maybe it just seems faster compared to the gameplay. These little guys can actually come down and get in the same row you're in and just sit there. They can go off screen. They do all kinds of stuff. And the shield in this is purely defensive. The only offensive use of the shield is if the guy's right on top of you or you're just completely desperate. Okay, now this is the level here that's awesome. It's the Vulture level. If you're not familiar with this. In the arcades when this came out, I would have bet dollars to donuts that this is the most awesomest graphics I would ever see in an arcade machine. I mean, I was so impressed with how these birds looked. Shoot. See, I didn't get my shield up in time. I would love to get to the actual... Shooting these is very, very difficult. Timing in this game is incredibly tough. I mean, it's a tough game. It's not Galaga tough. Do you see what he did there? Like, he just went back into his egg. Like, why? Who knows? Oh, that ain't good. See, I knew it. I knew it. This gave me 5 men to start off with, which I don't know why, but we'll use them in this case. I'm assuming you can probably... I think I read it. You can go back into the I'm screwed. You can go in and set the number of men as a argument to run this out of the CLI. I think that's a kind of a janky way to do it. Okay, now here's the main event. Here is the main event of this game. Bam! It's the bird base. It's the alien bird base. By the way, if you read the Atari 2600 version of this game, these aliens turn heel on the Earthlings, and then also are being used by aliens to screw us. So they're real jerks. All right, now we've got a hole. Let's see if we can get in there. The problem with this level, of course, is it's not really his shoot. There you go. We'll try the arcade version, see if I do any better. So let's get the comparison. Now, I want you to look. I'm going to try to start these at the same time. And we'll see how the star field and whatnot moves. Okay, so. Here we go. I'm on the right, by the way, in case you're wondering. So, yeah, you can see right away. You can see right away that the arcade version is moving quicker. I mean, I hit the wrong button here. Here we go. See the amount of shots I'm getting off here? Look at the amount of shots I can get off here. See that? Is it just me? Maybe I'm crazy. Someone tell me if I'm crazy. But it seems like on the JOTD version, I'm getting off more shots on a slower enemy. See, watch how I shoot here. Now watch how I shoot here. It may just be the level you're on, too. This is a weird game, man. So, I mean, it's hard to source out what's jank and what's different. See that guy on my level right there? That's when you can use your shield shoot. There we go. I'm definitely having more success on the arcade side. I mean, I feel like I have a better shot at it because it feels like it's more. This is one time when the arcade version absolutely feels crisper than the Amiga version. Oh crap! Yeah, I knew it was bone there. What do you guys think? Can you tell a difference? I'm gonna start them up again and see if you can tell a difference. I'm just going to shoot on both of them. It's odd that the screen's a different color. The Starfield's a different color as well. I'm just shooting here too, so you can... Yeah, that's a good question, Stars. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, man. Interesting. Anyway, I still think it's a big winner. Don't get me wrong. This was straight off the drawing board, so I think he did a real good job on this one. So that's Phoenix. What we got next? We're almost at the bottom here. We're gonna go now with gosh, it's funny how many of these I've owned. There's another one I sort of own. I'll tell you a funny story about this. I bought a bunch of cabinets at once, and one of the cabinets was an old Super Cobra, and Super Cobra was like the sort of spiritual sequel to Scramble, but it had a Scramble board in it and a Super Cobra board. So briefly, I owned some of Scramble. Scramble is well known for being one of the easiest to use boards to run like bootleg stuff. A lot of stuff ran on Scramble, the Scramble's hardware. And would run other games. They even had they'd have like a version of, say, Donkey Kong that would run on Scramble hardware, like a crappy one. That's right. Hey, what's going on, Aardvark? Man, it's good to see you, man. Let's learn about what he had to do to get Scramble running real quick before we give this one a shot. Scramble 500, so we know it's a Amiga 500 joint. Here we go. This is a successful attempt by JOTD to create a one-to-one port of the famous arcade game using 100% 68K assembly. This is an Amiga 500. It'll run on any 68K. 1.3 Kickstart gives you have to have a meg. 2 have to have a meg, so a meg on either one. And then the rest of this is just 50 frames per second, all the levels, joystick mode, CD32 support. Everything you'd expect. It has 2-button mode, so a lot of good stuff. It's got all the levels. This is great. This was a fun game. I used to love this game back in the day. So let's see if we can... Of course, how many times have I said that before I humiliated myself? Let's see what we can do. This is a game that has 2 buttons. Look, it's detected the stick here. So this is a game where I just pretty much never stop hitting both the buttons, by the way. So this is the game that all other games like this have ripped off. God! Hey, what's up, Picard? Make it so, brother. No, I actually owned these to own them. I never had anything out in the field. Oh, retro gaming music. Man, I love retro gaming music. Thanks for the raid, man. It's good to see getting raided. That's awesome. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Welcome in, raiders. I hope you like Amiga, and I hope you like arcade games, because that's what we're up to tonight. We're looking at the arcade ports or transcodes of JOTD, the genius who has brought so many classic arcade games to the Amiga in the past few years. And right now we're looking at one such game, which is Scramble. Which, man, I loved this game back in the day. And then when Super Cobra came out, I loved that too. These games were all the rage and for years and years. But I'm not sure any one of them did it much better than than the original. I mean, this is a fun, quick game. It's got a lot of cool levels. It's got a lot. The ship looks cool. You know, it's got a cool look to it. The aspect of like getting fuel is great. It makes it a lot of fun. You know, and the fact that they put in stuff like this where you had to first avoid the indestructible fireballs, and then you've got to go into the really difficult to navigate tunnels. You know, stuff like that. I like that aspect of the game. And again, this is just such a classic game. And I will say that JOTD, he's got great taste of what he ports. Because this is one, I mean, some of these games, like I said, I hope that people that didn't grow up with these games are getting to try them maybe for the first time because they've been ported. I mean, that seems kind of silly, since you would think that the Amiga crowd would have known about these games, but some of the people that had Amigas when they were quite young, and, you know, maybe these missed, or maybe they forgot about them. Man, this level's, you're right up on you. That's pretty much a lot of luck right there, getting through that. Oh, I didn't get through that. I almost got to the end of that level, too. Dadgummit. So, again, this is playing on an Amiga. This will run on an Amiga 500. And I think with 1 meg. In fact, most of the games we've looked at tonight will run on Amiga 500. Some of them you'll get better performance, and there's a few in there that if you have AGA, you'll get a marked better graphics. Gosh, there it is. That seems real smooth. I'm going to play this out. Gosh, this level, too. This is the one level I always hated. Most of my Scramble gaming came on a game for the Coco called Whirlybird Run. The Coco had an excellent, sort of a rip-off of Super Cobra, which is basically, I mean, essentially the same game. And so I played that a ton. And then, of course, when MAME came around, I played this a ton. Yeah, get used to seeing that a lot, Groot, brother, because it's going to have quite a bit. So that's the Amiga version. We'll see how it stacks up here against the arcade. So again, you've got the Amiga on the right and the arcade on the left. By the way, for the people that just came in, I've got Batocera and MAME running the arcade versions of these for to compare to the Amiga version. And so we'll fire this thing up here as well. Let me flip to the right screen. There we go. And I'll just start a game up on this too. Let's get it going. Off and running. All right, now we get a decent comparison here. I swear this is a true statement. I'm not just saying this. I've played these most of them on my MAME cabinet, and so the MAME cabinet, I'm used to the joysticks and whatnot. Watch how the missiles launch. Watch how the screen flashes. I mean, I think he did a real good job translating this over. You know, I think it's excellent work that he did on this. It's funny playing the Amiga version again. This is another one where I feel like it actually is quite smooth, and I think the fire is a little bit increased. I felt like I was getting a lot more action on the Amiga version, but you know, it's similar, it's another one of those where I'd say it's very similar, and if there's any difference, it's in favor of the Amiga. I think you're going to see that the Amiga version of this holds up quite nicely. With this, you know, I should have asked people in here. I don't know how many people we got left in here, but are any of you guys arcade machine owners? And have any of you guys owned any of the games we've looked at tonight? Because, you know, I'd be interested to know. I've owned quite a few of the games we looked at tonight. It's at some time, maybe not now, but I have in the past owned a lot of these. And so it'd be interesting to know if there's, I don't know how many Amiga people are also arcade people, you know. So, but if you've owned any of these, mention it there. I'd be interested to know. So that was Super Cobra. We're going to move on down the line here as we're nearing the end of the line here. We're going to go with the old Super Bagman. We played Bagman earlier. This is Super Bagman here, which is the sequel. I will say this is one I never saw in the arcade. So this is one I have not got to play in person. And we're going to look up the particulars on it here after I load it up. Everything has a super version, right? You have to have that. This game, I'm even worse at than I am Bagman. Has anyone in here ever beaten any level of Bagman? or on either version. I would love to know. If you've done it, let me know. Oh, you owned a Crazy Kong? Yeah. Oh, yeah, I've played that. Actually, Crazy Kong, the sound is just god-awful. So let's look into this. This is Super Bagman and see what he had to say about this one. This is Super Bagman 500. This is in beta. He says it's missing a trainer, and there's no music, so it's still work in progress. This is he worked on this last year, and this originally came out in '84. And he says it's 99% transcode, but he's got some stuff in there he's got to clean up, and the game has some bugs left that he's got to work on. I assume somewhere down the line he'll get to them. This is also another one he released on the Neo Geo. It's interesting that they're releasing these in the Neo Geo. I guess that I think there's a thriving Neo Geo market for these. But I mean, it's weird. Neo Geo was such an expensive machine. I never had one, so they were too rich for my blood. How'd you end up with a Crazy Kong, Happy? I'd be interested to know that. Let's give this a shot. So what you've got here, of course, you got an escalator. It's the same basic concept. Man, that thing gets you around a lot quicker. I mean, that board looks pretty similar. Something tells me that this was something that was an upgrade kit for the original. Look at there's a guy in jail down there. Oh no! All right, so don't do that. I should have remembered that. If anyone thought to themselves, hey, Bagman's too easy, have I got the Super Bagman for you? Yeah, the music's good. Are you an arcade connoisseur, Pacman Groot? Obviously, with the name, one would assume that you are, but... What do we got here? I wonder if I can get a key to get this guy out. There's a lot of pits and stuff on this thing, too. I mean, you're limited on where you can go. I gotta ask you, retro gaming music, like, when you were streaming over there, what were you guys up to? Were you guys listening to music? Do you make music? Like, what's your bag? I'd be interested to know. Die, sucker. No kidding. Okay. Dude, I'm gonna check you out, man. I don't think I've had the pleasure of seeing any of your stuff, but that sounds awesome. Oh, that's great. That's outstanding, man. Listen, you Amiga, okay, every Friday. Okay, cool. Oh, and Saturday too. Beautiful. I like a good Saturday music show. Yeah. I don't know if anybody in here that just came in, or I'm Amigo Aaron. If you ever heard of a show, you may have heard of it called the Amigos, Everything Amiga podcast. I'm a co-host of that show, along with John Bodekar Shaw, and I also host a flurry of other shows on this network, and we do all of our streaming on this network. And if you haven't checked us out and you're into the Amiga, if you feel froggy, I'd love to have you come check out our stuff, and I'm definitely going to check out your gaming stuff. So look at this long leap that this guy's got. And you can't do it when he's holding the bag. Very interesting. I don't... yeah, that's what... You know, one of the things we do as Amiga fans is we're also faith healers. Occasionally we'll lay hands on people, and just like we did Scooby. And we will faith heal them. I wish. I just touch myself all the time. I'd be touching my knee, that's for sure. Yeah, eat that. Listen, if I don't do anything else in the game, at least I bomb that geek. I'm sick of that guy. Yeah. He tells us French, that's for sure. So let's have a look at the arcade version. I like that. It plays Old Lang Synes when you die. Again, we're playing this on a horizontal comparison here, but we'll give it a shot here. So on the right, of course, your arcade version. That game's tough. I'll be honest with you. That's a tough game right there. But we'll just give this a few minutes of a whirl here. We played Bagman earlier. See how we do. This game, you know, these games, what appealed to me about these games is the fact that, like, you could do a bunch of stuff, you know, because you could go anywhere. Again, I've mentioned this before on the show. I like games that let you explore and run around. Like, there are no rules. I always thought that was always appealing to me. Which way are you going to go? Oh, yeah, smart guard. Come on. Come on. No, he's a good move. This is a hard game to wrap your head around in terms of getting the money because, like, that jump, that is weird, man. Let's see what's over here. I will say, playing these, they feel very similar, including that god-awful jump. This is like a whole town. Look at all this crap. We'll go up the elevator here. It may keep going. Let's see. It does. Man, this is double the size. What killed me? Must have run out of bonus. Anyway, I'm not gonna dwell too long on this one. I think you've got a pretty similar situation there. If anyone ever gets good at this game, I'm begging you to call me. Call me up at the house. Let me know what you did, because I suck at it. I've never been any good at it. I think we're down to our final 2 games, ladies and gentlemen, and we are. And the next one, I will say, this one helped me fail out of school. The original arcade version of Tetris. Holy God. Man, I'm telling you something. This game was, we had this at our student center back in the day. And this is the first time I'd ever heard of Tetris when this came out. And man, everyone was playing this. Everybody. And it was quite popular at our student center. And so, of course, I had to play it too because I got into it, man. I'm not saying I'm good at it, but boy, I played the crap out of it back in the day. Let's give it a whirl. Let's see. I probably should read what he had to say about it before we get too deep into it. So let's have a look here. So this is the arcade version of Tetris. This is Tetris 1200, by the way. This is a transcode for the 6820. So this one's you got to go to the pay window and play on your big boy Amiga. AGA. This is a 6502 to 68,000 conversion. The music is kind of emulated. It's missing some drums and some sound effects, but pretty good. His newer release has optimized the tile draw bit, and he's also made a few changes to make the game smoother. So we will see how it goes on this one. The game is starting without me here. Let me get over to it here. Man, this music, I'm telling you, I've heard this a million times. One thing I liked on Tetris was the music was so good. So good. But also, I like the little guy that comes out. He gets irritated by the little Russian guy. This makes me, I really wish, I look forward to the day. I mean, this is kind of a political thing, but I'm just gonna say it. I like Russians. I like the people. I've worked with so many of them when I worked at IBM, and I hope that sometime very soon this crap gets all settled up. I mean, I don't know how it's gonna take a while, but I mean, I do. It's a shame that everything that's going on over there. But when this came out. This seemed like it was just such a great, unique puzzle game. And it still, I mean, really, does anyone go a year without playing this, or maybe even 2 months? I seem to be playing this every once in a while to this day, and it's never really stopped. Oh, Petzel, you're a brilliant man. I think that's a very astute observation, my friend. I like liking everyone. You know, because I grew up in the Cold War, and it sucked. And when it was over, it was so good. I was so happy, you know. But it is what it is, folks. And here we are playing video games, but that's just the way it goes, man. This feels pretty good. I'm not hearing the missing music you were talking about. I will say we haven't seen the little guy come out. I think he would be out by now. Because I remember if you took too long, he would come out and tap his foot. Hey, Buck. Yeah, Bagman's the one I played the most, my friend. That's exactly the one I played the most. I'm glad to have you and Petzl in the room, man. You guys are catching the tail end of this. It's been a tribute to our good friend of the community, JOTD. He's not my good friend. I wish he was, but I feel like in spirit he is. He's done some good work for the people, bringing the games to the people, and I hope he continues. And I've got some requests. One of them is, of course, Super Pacman. But I'd love to see Zookeeper brought over, Mr. Do. I would love to see Mr. Do brought over. And if you're feeling froggy, and I will admit, this would be not. Well, I mean, you did Bag It Man. This is probably more popular than Bag It Man or Bagman. I would love to see Mr. Do's Castle make the cut. Now, you know, Boat loves Do Run Run. That's his jam. But Mr. Do's Castle is sort of like one of my faves. I love that game. Oh, good, Petzl. I hope you got a lot of work done, man. Working on a Friday night is no good, my friend. That's a bad deal. I'm just going to see if we can get out of this, and we'll see how far we can get. I'm not going to play this forever. It's Tetris. But, I mean, just the music. You guys are getting that music. I mean, it takes you back, doesn't it? I don't know how. Now, I will ask this: how many of you guys played this in the arcade? You know, maybe I'm one of the few that played the arcade version. I mean, I played the crap out of this in the arcade. Really, Mountain Stars. Now, Stars, I gotta ask you, and you don't have to tell us if you don't want to. Are you an American? Are you a European? Are you in Australia? Where are you, my friend? I'd be interested to know. And maybe it's an age thing. So you're in the U.S. Okay. Maybe I'm guessing you're probably younger than I am, but so many are. So. Oh, that's outstanding. By the way, Retro Gaming Music, speaking of Sweden, your country did an excellent job hosting the Eurovision, which we watched last week. In case you wonder where I was last week, we took the night off on Friday for a very special Saturday edition of the Disaster Stream, because we all got together on Discord to watch the Eurovision Song Contest, and what a contest that was. I think we had a good winner there. The man from Switzerland laid it down on all the time while balancing on a disc and wearing a dress. I was very impressed. I have more fun than any man should. I will say they did anger me this year by teasing that they were going to bring out ABBA, and then bringing out the holograms, and then bringing out, I don't know what they brought out to sing after that, but I was like thinking to myself, if ABBA was ever going to appear, this is the night, and they did not. So I love ABBA. I love ABBA. They're one of my favorite bands, and well, you could dream. I will say the last album they put out was outstanding. The songs they released was really good, and so it was nice. That was a nice treat to get a little more ABBA. All right, I like this. This is pretty good. I'm going to let this fall down, and we're going to switch over and have a look at the arcade version real quick. Again, it's going to look a little bit smushed because it's set up for vert, but we'll give it a shot here. I mean, I think we all know how this comparison is going to go down. I never did see the little guy come out, though, so we're going to see if the little guy comes out on this version. Let's see if the guy... Well, I want to see the dude. Okay. If I can get the game to start here. Here we go. So I'm just going to get through this as quick as I can. Maybe he only comes out on, like, the second level. Maybe it's been so long since I played it, I can't remember. Like, on the next phase. That's not going to get me there. I am... well, you had to ask that, man. I am 53. I'll be, I think I'm 50. I'm either 52 or 53. My birthday's in August. So anyway it goes, once you hit 50, you're well, you see, listen, twin brothers of different mothers, my friend. You're the same age as me. So there you go. And here we are, but playing games. But I wouldn't have it any other way, man. I'm having a good time doing Amiga stuff and playing with the ZX Spectrum and the arcades. You know, I'm glad. You know, it's funny. This is going to sound real stupid, and I'm not saying this is even healthy, by the way. But I remember as a kid, I was sitting in, it was Christmas time, and all my family were up in my grandpa's living room, and they were talking about politics. It was all these 4 or 5 crusty old men, and I was so bored. And I told myself, I was like, you know, you're never going to be these guys. You're never going to sit around and being boring and talk about boring crap. I remember I made a personal pact, and I've never forgotten that day. And it's been a perpetual effort to not grow up. It's a 50-year odyssey that I'm still on. It's not probably the healthiest thing to do, but here I am, and I think I've had a pretty good go of it. I'm not going to complain. By the way, this feels and looks dead on. I mean, I can see zero difference at all. The sound's good. Everything here is 100%. So we're going to give this one the good to go. So again, if you want to give this a shot, I think you could do a lot worse on this one. So let's move along here. I think we're at the very last game here, and we are. This is one I'm actually familiar with because we covered this on Amigos a while back. If you're interested in looking that one up. A very popular, one of the first real big-time shooter game shmups from the arcade. I remember when this came out, and I was incredibly impressed with it. And the funny thing is, what really impressed me was stuff like the mirrors and the way stuff moved, because I just had never seen anything like it. It was and the way the ground looked. I mean, it was just it was impressive to me. I was impressed easy back in those days. You think you're more immature than me, Scoob? We're having immature off. Yeah. Let's have a look real quick at the flavor text on this one. This is the last one of the night. And this is a good one to go out on. Xevious 1200. This is a transcode from multiple Z80s to the 68,000 in assembly. The original game and sub-CPU ROMs were disassembled and reverse engineered. Then the code was transcoded line by line to 68,000 assembly. The core code is platform agnostic and calls out to be an operating system dependent layer written for each target platform. Now, I don't know what all that means, but clearly this was a little more of an endeavor than some of the other ones we've looked into. It says here the core transcode's 100% complete, and they fixed the last gameplay bug. This is also available in Neo Geo, 1 to 2 players, and this requires a Amiga 1200 to play, in case you're interested in giving it a whirl. And you can see here we've got the usual. This one had to hit F1 to start. On this one, the first time I tried this, I hit it 1, and I crashed the thing. Yeah, I'll definitely check you out. Thank you for the raid, Retro Game Music, and we'll definitely look you up, man. We got a lot of Amiga folks in here, and we love the kind of stuff that you're laying down, so we'll definitely have a check. Everyone give him a shot, please. Give him a big shot over there. There you go. Bam. Scooby, don't wait around, brother. So this is, of course, Xevious. This is a 2-button game, and both buttons are represented, as you can tell. And we're off. By the way, the sound, that little background music you're hearing, that is the opening sound for the video game show Star Arcade, which we've mentioned so many times tonight. That's how it starts off, with that music. This game does have, I mean, I don't know, maybe it gets old, but I always thought it sounded cool. Whatever the heck they were trying for there, it sounded pretty good. This game had a lot of interesting dynamics to it. The fact that you can hit 2 things at once with your bomb if you drop it right in the middle is cool. You've got ground targets. The fact that you're bombing and shooting was pretty stupid. It's pretty unique. Blue Max is my jam, by the way, particularly the Atari 8-bit version. I love that game, and the 64 version is not too bad either. That's a game they never ported to the Amiga, and it burns me up inside. There is a Blue Max on the Amiga, but it's not the same one. It's more like it's not even close. I mean, it has nothing to do with the original. I believe Synapse. Did Synapse do that one? Somebody could correct me on that. It's just it's an all-time classic. I mean, I'd be hard pressed to think of a game I like more on the man. The Atari 8-bit's got a lot of good games, but that's my go-to on there. Plus, that's a game where it'd be nice to have the 2 buttons, because you have to sort of do that gimmick with your pull down on the joystick. If you get far enough in this game, and I'm sure everyone knows this by now, but if you get far enough in this game, you start seeing like interesting shapes on the ground. I'm sure you guys are a pretty astute bunch, but somewhere in the world, Peru or somewhere, these shapes exist. You can see them from up in the air. You can see where the shapes have been cut into the ground. And not the particular shapes that are in this. These are more Native American looking, but it's still neat that primitive people somehow did this. And one wonders why they would do it. Who were they signaling? Because they had no ability to go up high to see these things, at least none that we know about. So it's a mystery. And listen, I'm an old in search of guy, so this kind of stuff appealed to me. And so when I on the rare times I got that far into the game, it was always neat. Yeah, they are. You know, Battle Squadron is a great game. I love that game. Nightmare, I don't think the only Nightmare game I remember isn't there one based on the show? Battle Squadron on the Amiga is great. I'm not as fond of it on the Genesis / Mega Drive. But I do love that game. It's one of your better shooters on the Amiga. I really enjoy it. It's not everyone's cup of tea. I'm also I love Silkworm an awful lot, and Swiv I think it's a good game as well. Oh yeah, oh that's great. Thank God. You know, one of the things that I like about, you know, I've learned so much over the years of covering the ZX and the Amiga and I love the international flavor. You know, I know Boat and to a certain extent we're always killing the European design elements of platform games and certain types of games, but I mean, variety is the spice of life. You know what I mean? It's nice to get some different action. Oh, here come these suckers. You know, and I've seen a lot of crazy stuff, and there's some merit to some of the stuff that is done. You know, but I like the fact that you got a lot of former demo programmers that do this stuff. Like that's always you get a neat element with that. I mean, the video game scene in America is quite a bit different, or was at the time. I mean, think of stuff like the Pinball Dream series, and I mean, a lot of the, you know, you've got the Nordic types and your Scandinavian types that are doing these things, and former demo guys. I mean, here we go. I got far enough just where you can see the wing of it. So there you go. Okay, one last time, let's switch over to the arcade version and have a comparison here. You can see here on the right is the arcade. Look at that. I mean, it's very similar. So I'm going to go ahead and start a game here. Let me switch to the right camera. There we go. All right. I'll start this one too, and just as a comparison. So you can see I'm the one that's actually moving. Scene center is a little bit off on the other one, but you can get the idea there. Just watch the way the circles come in, and the way that's scrolling. Oh, you see this? I mean, it's really quite impressive how dead on it is. I mean, there's not one. One would look to see if maybe a background was moving at a much higher frequency, you know. But I don't see that. I mean, it looks like it's coming in very close. You guys could probably tell better than me. You know, Top Banana was made with recycled. It's the first. What was it they called it? The first environmentally friendly game, allegedly. I don't know about that because how many of those things ended up in a landfill? After it's all said and done. I'm lucky enough to own a boxed copy of Top Banana. It's one of my prized possessions. I'll be bringing it out to Boatfest if anybody wants to take pictures with it, along with some of the other duds I've got. You know, I collect crappy games. One of these days, maybe it'll be what I do when the Amigos finally fold up. Maybe I'll do my Dirt Worst series on the worst games you could possibly play. You know, we love Hoffman Proton. Me and Boat named. We played a couple years ago when he did the when he converted the MSX version of Metal Gear over. That was our game. It was our Amiga Game of the Year that year. I mean, we thought that was impressive. Hoffman, great guy and a heck of a music guy and programmer. I think he's going to be over at the big Amiga event over in the UK in Nottingham that Boat's going to be at, along with a ton of other guys. So if you guys over in the UK, the Kickstart event that's coming up, my partner in crime, the Boat, is going to be there. He's going to be emceeing the whole thing, along with Ravi Abbott, who'll be the DJ. But they've got a whole slew of people coming to this thing. Boy, I wish I could go. I hope everyone that's over in the UK and Europe gets to go. But it should be a lot of fun. So plug for that. And then one quick plug for Boatfest if you're in the States and you feel like getting froggy, brother. Boatfest coming up June 14th, 15th, and 16th, just about a month away. Here in beautiful and scenic Hurricane, West Virginia. It will be happening. We'd love to have you out here if you feel so inclined. And the webpage to buy tickets and get information has been popping up on the chat there if you want to scroll back to see it. But we'd love to have you over here for that, if I may plug it. You know, I have to say, playing both these again, and trust me when I tell you this, and I think you guys would. I would tell you if I saw a massive difference in the way they played. I do not. I absolutely do not. I think they're very similar. I think they're very similar in their ability to play. Well, I believe, ladies and gentlemen, that takes us to the end of all the games from JOTD. Just to summarize, we looked at, in no particular order, we looked at Phoenix, Moon Patrol, Donkey Kong, Tetris. Oh, I like to see Donkey Kong Jr. too, by the way. Super Bagman and Bagman, Karate Champ, 2-player. Pengo, Galaxian, Xevious, Scramble, Amidar, Miss Pacman, and Pacman. I should also mention that if you're interested in Supercars 2, JOTD also has a Supercars 2 upgrade that takes some of the maps and stuff from Supercars 3 on the PC and converts them over to the Amiga and upgrades the colors. And this is quite good too. And you can also get this at itch.io. So hey, what's going on, Frank? Just in time for the end of the show, brother. But good to see you, Frank. Hey, if for any of your repair needs, especially if you're in the America or North America or Canada, Frank at retrorewind.ca will take care of your business. He's full service, brother. And if you are interested, check him out at retrorewind.ca, a longtime sponsor and, more importantly, a very good friend of the Amigos. And he's the guy the only guy I would trust to work on my Vectrix is Frank. And Frank took care of business for me on that. Well, I think 2 hours is more than enough, ladies and gentlemen, over 2 hours to get our arcade groove on. I hope everybody enjoyed the show, and I hope you'll go over to the aforementioned website, itch.io, for JOTD, and grab some of these and throw him a few bucks. I think he has done more than enough to earn your buck or two, and I would grab every single one of these things, stick them on your 500, just play them, man, have a good time. Yeah, brother, I got a Vectrix. It was a birthday gift. I want to thank JOTD personally. I don't know the man. I've never met him. But he has brought me quite a bit of joy over the last couple years, and I really appreciate that. That means a lot. I remember a time when the Amiga was getting zero action. Zero action. They weren't porting jack squat. And now, all of a sudden, at Katie bar the door, we're getting ports at the yin yang. And it's people like JOTD and his crew that are getting the job done. And I, for one, appreciate it. And so why not give those guys a few bucks? It's a good idea. It's good for the community, and you're getting something for your money. All right. With all that said, we're going to take it to the house. I'll see you guys next Friday for another disaster stream. Don't forget to check out myself and the Brent on Sunday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for R. Sinclair. Get this, everybody, especially you music fans. This week on R. Sinclair, we'll be reviewing the ZX Spectrum version of the Rocky Horror Show. Rocky Horror Picture Show here in the States. It's just a jump to the left and a step to the right. And I promise you, I will make Brent perform the entire dance number a la the man with no neck. He'll be doing it. He'll jump up on the table and get down and funky with it as we kick the tires on Rocky Horror Show on R. Sinclair. That's Sunday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right, I'll let you guys get back to it. Have a good evening and a good week, everybody. Much love, and I will catch you boys and girls on the flip side. Until next week, adios.